UFC Fight Night Volkov versus Rozenstruik full card prediction. We got 12 fights and a lot of flyweight fights. The flyweight ones, we got Poliana, Botelho, Karine, Silva, Zhalgas, Zhumagulov, Jeff, Molina, Osbourne, Zarrukh, Adashev, Erin, Blanchfield, JJ, Aldrich, and I think that's about it. Then we have the heavyweights, Alexander Volkov, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. We got the featherweights, Dan Ige, Mozharov, and Mike Trizano, Lucas Almeida. We got the welterweights, Benoit, Denis, Niklas, Stolze, and we got the debuting Rinat Fakhretinov taking on Andreas and Michailidis. And then we got some good fights as well, like Alonzo, Menifield, Askar, Mozharov, who's making his UFC debut, Johnny Munoz Jr., Tony Gravely, Joe Solecki, Alex da Silva, and I'm pretty sure that's about it for all of the fights on the card. I cannot wait for this fight card to happen. I think the fights that had the highest chance of actually getting a finish, probably going to be Alonzo, Menifield, Askar, Mozharov, Rinat Fakhretinov, Andreas, and Michailidis, and then probably I'd have to go down to like a Joe Solecki, Alex da Silva. But there's a lot of them that are very 50-50 on if they go to a decision or not. But yeah, I cannot wait for the fight card. I think fight of the night is going to be tough. It's either going to be Jeff Molina, Zhalgas, Zhumagulov, or it's going to be Rinat Fakhretinov, Andreas, Michailidis. Because every other fight I can see kind of being like a grinding technical decision or just a fast knockout, which usually is not going to be a fight of the night. So it probably is going to be Jeff Molina, Zhalgas, Zhumagulov in my opinion. But cannot wait for the fight card. We're going to go in the first one here in the UFC Bantamweight division. Tony Gravely and Johnny Munoz Jr. in the Bantamweight division. Johnny is a lot taller. He's a lot lengthier with a 2-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch height advantage. A little bit younger, but a lot less experience than Tony Gravely. Only 12 professional MMA fights. Only one win in the UFC against Jamie Simmons, who's currently out of the UFC, and then he did lose to Nate Maness as well, a guy that Tony Gravely also lost to about almost 8 months ago by knockout in the second round. He beat Anthony Burchak by knockout. He beat Geraldo de Freitas decision and Simon Oliveira decision. Did lose to Brett Johns. I mean, all the guys that Tony Gravely is losing to, legit, very legit guys. Brett Johns, Nate Maness. Let's go down. Patchy Mix, a Bellator title challenger. We got Manny Bermudez. Merab Dvalishvili's on here. Ricky Bandejas, decent guy. And then Pat Sabatini. These are all very, very legit guys on his record. I mean, every single one of them is a legit prospect that has beaten Tony Gravely. Johnny Munoz Jr. is a good prospect. I will give him that. But only way he's going to win this fight is if he goes out there and takes down Tony Gravely for 3 rounds, or he takes him down and submits him early with that rear naked choke submission. It is very possible. He has plenty of rear nakeds, arm bars, heel hook submission wins in his career so far, but I know Tony Gravely is expecting that game plan from Johnny Munoz Jr. is going to be doing the whole entire fight camp kind of related to defending the takedowns of Johnny Munoz Jr., even landing a few takedowns of his own, and mainly keeping the fight on the feet. In the striking, I do believe that Tony Gravely is going to be the better striker. He's a lot more powerful than Nate Maness, and I think if he can close that distance enough, he can land enough shots to actually out-volume Johnny Munoz Jr. Not to mention, again, if he's able to defend the takedowns of Johnny Munoz Jr., he himself is a very good wrestler and grappler and could actually land a few takedowns on Johnny Munoz Jr. So I do think Tony Gravely is going to win the fight. I think he's going to keep it pretty even on the feet, just land a little bit more volume and land the harder shots. He's going to mix in a few takedowns here and there as well and edge out a unanimous decision right there. Betting odds for the fight as of right now, Tony Gravely is at -145. Odds to go to a decision, actually plus money at +110 right there. Junior inside distance, +270. Gravely inside distance, +170. And the Gravely decision is +265, where Junior decision is +345. Personally, I think it does go to a decision. I think Gravely, I mean, a lot of his wins recently are decision wins. Only that one knockout on Anthony Burchak, whereas Johnny Munoz Jr. has never been knocked out in his career, never been finished in his career, so I don't think that's going to happen. I think the fight goes all the way. Tony Gravely by a unanimous decision. Alonzo, Menifield, and Askar Mozharov in the light heavyweight division. Askar, I mean, he's making his debut. here. He's 27.5 years old, going out there getting knockout wins over and over and over again, but also getting knocked out and getting submitted over and over and over again. If you look at his wins, he has 7 submission wins, 15 knockout wins, and other losses, 4 submission losses, and 3 knockout losses. So he's one of the guys going out there looking for the knockout, or he's gonna get knocked out himself. 33 seconds, 27 seconds, 2 minutes and 34 seconds, and even in the losses right there, 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Went a little bit longer on that one, but you can already see what's going to happen here. Either Alonzo Menifield is going to catch the chin of Askar Mozharov, or Askar Mozharov is going to catch the chin of Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo has only been knocked out one time, and it was a perfectly placed shot from OV St. Preux. And I do believe cardio-wise, they both are pretty garbage in my opinion. But from the fights that I've seen recently of Alonzo Menifield against Ed Herman, against William Knight, I mean, even against Fabio Turan a little bit, he was kind of trying to preserve that energy early on, where Askar Mozharov is looking for the finish no matter what early on in that fight. So I think Askar is going to look for that finish early on in that first round, and towards the end of the first round or the beginning of that second round, Alonzo is then going to start pushing the pace on the tired, gassed Askar Mozharov. And yeah, I know Alonzo doesn't really have the best cardio himself, but if he can just survive that first 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 4 minutes of Askar Mozharov in that first round, Askar, he never goes to the second round, he never goes to the third round, and when he does, he loses the fight. So I think Alonzo Menifield is going to win the fight in the second round right here. He's going to survive the first round, being very, very patient, eating a few shots from Askar. He's going to lose that first round for sure, and then he's going to come back and he's going to knock out Askar Mozharov. Askar is not good in the later rounds whatsoever. Alonzo used to not be good in the later rounds, but how technical he's been fighting recently, I think he's going to put that to the test here against Askar Mozharov, survive, and knock him out later on in that fight. If you look at the betting odds for this fight, Alonzo's a very, very slight favorite. Only minus 136, and then Askar Mozarov's at plus 117. Started at plus 110. So the bookies thought this was a very, very, very close fight. A little bit of money coming in on Alonzo Menifield. Fight goes to a decision is plus 185. I highly doubt this fight is going to a decision. Menifield wins inside the distance, plus 110, and then Mozharov inside the distance is at plus 240. I mean, the chances the fight goes to a decision and either guy wins that way, it's so small. But if for some way there was going to be a finish here, it'd probably be Alonzo with how technical of a fighter he's been being in his past few fights, but I don't see the fight going to a decision. I think Alonzo Menifield will crack the chin of Askar Mozharov, get the finish in the second rounds. Joe Solecki and Alex da Silva in the UFC lightweight division. Now, I think this is a pretty obvious prediction. Yeah, Alex da Silva only losing to legit guys. The veteran Alexander Yakovlev by submission right there, as well as Brad Riddell by unanimous decision by beating Rodrigo Vargas, while beating a lot of guys outside of the UFC. But it's very clear at this moment in time, if Alex da Silva loses this fight, probably going to get cut from the UFC, or he's going to get like a Dana White's Contender Series guy next, something like that. But he was on a crazy win streak to start off his career, 18 wins and 0 losses. He's a finisher. He's got 13 wins by knockout, 7 wins by a submission, and 1 win by a decision, with 1 loss coming by submission and 2 of them coming by a decision. As of right now, his only way of winning, in my opinion, is keeping that fight on the feet, knocking out Joe Solecki. That is literally the only way I can see Alex da Silva winning the fight. He's not going to go out there to submit Joe Solecki. There's like no way I can see that happening with how good of a grappler and how good of a wrestler Joe Solecki is. He got a submission win on Donald Cerrone and Fury Pro Grappling. He dominated Jim Miller to a unanimous decision. He beat Austin Hubbard by submission, Matt Weeman by unanimous decision, and plenty of other guys. He's got 7 submission wins, 1 knockout, and 3 decisions. He does have 1 knockout loss on his record, but it was to a guy with much more power than Alex da Silva does have in Nicholas Mota. So there's 2 things that are going to happen here. Either the first thing happens where Alex da Silva goes out there and he just throws caution to the wind and just starts throwing bombs, catches the chin of Joe Solecki, knocks him out in the first or second round. That's one outcome, for sure. That could definitely happen. But more likely outcome, Joe Solecki goes out there and makes it look like a walk in the park. I think Joe Solecki is going to go out there, pressure him a little bit, get Alex de Silva's back to the cage, get in the clinch a little bit, land some clinch shots, take him down with a trip, maybe a double leg, get on top of Alex de Silva, ground and pound for a little bit, and wait till the moment that Alex de Silva makes a mistake. I don't think he's going to get a submission just sheer off of Alex de Silva in the guard, just trying to kind of make his base up and get back up to the feet. It has to be when Alex de Silva is trying for something risky to get back up on the feet, like giving Joe Solecki the back. Maybe Alex de Silva goes for a takedown himself. It has to be something that Alex de Silva does that is very, very risky for Joe Solecki to get that submission win. Because if Alex does not take any risk here, and we just see Joe Solecki land the takedowns, stay on top and ground a pound, and we just see Alex not willing to risk it and try to get back up to the feet, yeah, we're going to see a Joe Solecki decision here, kind of like what we saw against Jim Miller and how we saw against Matt Weidman. But we've seen plenty of times before, if you give your back to Joe Solecki, he's going to rear naked you, as we saw in the Austin Hubbard fight. So I think that's what's going to happen here. Alex de Silva is a good prospect. He's very fast. He's very agile. He's got good striking for sure. He's very lengthy for the division. He's a good striker, for sure, but he's going to get taken down. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to give the back to Joe Solecki, which is not going to be a good move. And Joe Solecki is going to submit him in the first or second rounds. Benoit St. Denis and Niklas Stolze in the welterweight division. Again, correct me in the comment section below if I'm getting that name incorrect. But Benoit has 8 wins and 1 loss. He's 26 and a half years old. Going to be a little bit less in terms of height and a little bit less in terms of reach, which is going to give Niklas a slight advantage on the feet in terms of the kickboxing and striking and things like that. But again, I mean, Tapology knows exactly what's up right here. The grappling, submission, and wrestling of St. Denis is absolutely amazing. The God of War goes out there every time. He eats your shots on the feet, takes you down, and he TKOs you or he submits you. Only one fight going to a decision, and that was his last fight with Alonzo Zaleski. Nobody thought that fight was going to a decision. You look at the Tapology predictions for that fight. A lot of people going Zaleski by knockout right there, and then a lot of people going Zaleski or St. Denis to win the fight inside the distance. Not very much people thought that fight was going to go all the way, but we saw that this man has a chin. But Benoit St. Denis' chin is absolutely insane. The way he was able to eat all of those strikes in that last fight, it was just absolutely amazing. I mean, he just kept on eating and eating and eating in that fight. But now, he's going to be fighting a much worse opponent. And it's going to be, of course, Niklas Stolze. Niklas is not that good of a grappler, not that good of a wrestler. And St. Denis is so much stronger. And that's the reason it's very close on if it's going to go to a decision or not. Because if Niklas Stolze wins the fight, probably going to be a decision. I mean, you really do think that St. Denis is going to get finished by Niklas Stolze here? It's not going to happen, guys. So, again, if Niklas Stolze wins, it's going to be a decision. If Benoit St. Denis wins, it's going to be him taking the fight down, ground and pounding, looking for that submission, and getting the finish. So, my prediction here is going to be Benoit St. Denis to go out there, take the fight down, eat a few shots on the feet, of course, but take the fight down eventually and get that inside the distance win. I'm going to go. It's tough to say TKO or a submission, but I have a feeling he's going to want to prove a point after losing that last fight, and he's going to go for the TKO. So I'm going to go Benoit St. Denis by TKO, but again, it could definitely be a decision. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Mike Trizano and Lucas Almeida in the featherweight division. Now, exactly the same height, exactly the same reach, but a guy that's going to be cutting a lot of weight in Lucas Almeida. He's usually more of a lightweight fighter and just, you know, he fights in the lightweight division, but now he's going down to the featherweight division to fight Mike Trizano, a very, very legit striker. He only lost to Grant Dawson, a wrestler and grappler, beat Ludovic Klein, and then he lost to Hakeem Dawodu, which is a very, very good striker right there. 81% going Trizano decision, 19% pretty much going Almeida decision. Either way, this fight's probably going to go to a decision. Lucas Almeida, yeah, he's a finisher. He's got the flying knee win. He's got the guillotines, the triangles. But if you notice, a lot of these submission wins are when he is on the bottom position. Mike Trizano is not going to go for a takedown on Lucas Almeida, which is going to make this a striking fight. 3 rounds of striking, and I don't think Lucas Almeida is going to land a flying knee like he did fight against Nico Kakui, however you say that name, and I think the fight goes all the way. So Trizano, being the better striker, in my opinion, he throws a lot more volume. Honestly, he hits a little bit harder than Lucas Almeida. He's just the more technical striker, has the much better kicking game, and Lucas Almeida's only real way of winning is to go out there, go for broke on the feet, going for flying knees, going for just huge power punches, looking to knock out Mike Trizano, or to find a way to get the fight to the mat. If that does not happen and the fight stays on the feet, Mike Trizano is going to outstrike him for 3 straight rounds and do what he always does, as he's done every fight in the UFC, and get a close decision. Split decision on Joe Giannetti, split decision on Luis Pena, and then a unanimous decision on Ludwig Klein. Decision. I see another one. Lucas has never been finished. This fight's going to go all the way. Mike Trizano by a unanimous decision. Erin Blanchfield and JJ Aldrich in the women's flyweight division. Erin Blanchfield is a very, very legit prospect. Again, correct me in the comments down below if I messed up her last name, but she's only 23 years old. He's going to have a slight reach advantage, but a slight height disadvantage. She's very legit. I mean, 8 wins, 1 loss, only losing 1 time in a very, very controversial loss to Tracy Cortez, a top 15 UFC women's flyweight prospect. She went out there, dominated Sarah Apart, dominated Miranda Maverick in what was supposed to be a very, very close fight right there. And she's got a lot of other really good wins outside of the UFC, beating Kay Hansen by majority decision, Victoria Leonardo, Brogan Walker. A lot of these girls either in the UFC, like Kay, like Victoria, or they're fighting on the Ultimate Fighter, like Brogan Walker, who's about to fight on the Ultimate Fighter in a week or so. But it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, this fight, because JJ showed she's got very, very good wrestling, but it's not going to at all be near the par of Erin Blanchfield. Like, JJ Aldrich went out there in her last fight. She looked good. She took down Jillian Robertson over and over and over again, controlled her there. She kind of did that with Vanessa, kind of just grinded out to a decision. That's what both fighters do, but we've seen it before, where if she's not the better wrestler, she's not going to win the fight. And Erin Blanchfield is not that bad of a striker either. The striking is going to be very, very even. And the fact that her wrestling is just so far superior than JJ Aldrich leads me to believe she's going to go out there, pressure JJ, throw some really big shots in the feet, take her down, and just control her there. She's not going to finish JJ. JJ is not the type of girl to like give up her back or anything, or get ground and pounded enough to where she gets TKO'd or anything like that. She did against Macy Barber, but I don't think it's going to happen here. She did get submitted early in her career, but that was 2015, 2016, and Erin really is not that type of finisher. Maybe she will be, but I mean, she got a very fluke TKO win on Victoria Leonardo right there, and then she beat Gabriella Golfin, who's not that legit of a fighter, a 4-4 regional fighter over there. So I do see the fight going to a decision. I think it really comes down to, can Aldrich defend the takedowns? If she can find a way to keep the fight on the feet and in the striking, her Muay Thai is very good, and she can find a way to win the fight on those judges' scorecards. But it doesn't matter. Even if the fight is super, super close on the feet, all it takes is one takedown from Erin Blanchfield, even in the last 30 seconds, 1 minute, and the judges are going to remember that takedown, and they're going to probably give her the rounds on the judges' scorecard. So for this one, I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield, however you say it, to win the fight, out-wrestling JJ, keeping the fight even on the feet, and winning that one by a unanimous decision. Andreas Michailidis and Rinat Fakhretinov in the welterweight division. Rinat, very legit prospect, but he's, again, not fighting the best competition. Recently, yes, he's been fighting very, very good fighters recently, like Alberto Ura, former UFC fighter, Eric Spicely, former UFC fighter, and then Johnny Carlos. I mean, he knocked out Eric Spicely in 55 seconds. That is insane, guys. 55 seconds. And a guy that beat guys like Thiago Santos by submission in 2016. Beat Alessio Di Chirico by submission right there. Only losing after those 2 wins to Antonio Carlos Jr., Gerald Mearshart, Darren Stewart. And they were all in the second round. Whereas Rinat Fakhretinov going out there finishing him in 55 seconds. This man has power in his hands. He's not the most technical striker by any means. He's a brute. He kind of comes forward, throws some big shots, and then looks for the takedown. So there's two things that are going to happen here. Either Andreas Michailidis keeps the fight on the feet, defends the takedown of Rinat Fakhretinov, keeps the fight at range, and just kickbox with Rinat to a very close 29-28 decision. Or we got Rinat Fakhretinov going out there throwing bombs, catching the chin of Andreas Michailidis, knocking him out. Or we got Rinat throwing those bombs, missing on a lot of them, but setting up the takedown with those bombs, picking up, slamming down Andreas Michailidis, ground and pounding him, and TKOing or submitting him in the first or second round. I know I said two things were going to happen, but those are the three things. Either Rinat catches them on the feet, just throwing bombs, or Rinat takes them down, ground and pounds, and submits them, or Andreas Michailidis keeps the fight at range and wins the fight by a decision. I'm leaning, of course, to Rinat Fakhretinov to win the fight on the ground by TKO. Andreas has lost his last two fights, TKO and a TKO. Rinat won his last fight by a TKO. I think if it's on the feet or if it's on the ground, I still think Rinat will get the TKO win. I know, like usually when UFC fighters make their debuts, and they're like coming off crazy win streaks, a lot of knockouts, a lot of submissions, just a lot of finishes in general, they want to build the fan. They want to build a fan base on their name, so they're not going to necessarily go out there looking for a guillotine, looking for an arms triangle, or something like that. I mean, they'll go for it if it's there, but usually in like debut type fights, they're looking to get that TKO win to show just how dominant they are. Getting the ground and pound, just landing the big shots, and getting that knockout. So I'm going to lead Rinat Fakhretinov by a knockout right here. There's a possibility he lands a submission on Andreas Michailidis, but I think he's going to go for the ground and pound and get the TKO win in the first or second rounds. Osbourne and Zarrukh Adashev in the flyweight division. Now, Zarrukh, very good kickboxer. He's got a lot of good knockout wins. He's got a really good leg kick. He's a very solid striker, but his chin, on the other hand, is not that good. He got knocked out by Tyson Name in the very first round. He got submitted by Cody Moody, but that's not going to play too big of a factor there. And then he lost a decision to Zhumagulov, and he got rocked bad plenty of times against Zhumagulov right there. I think a fight with Ryan Benoit, which he did win, but Juan Camilo Ronderos, that was a pretty close fight there. Cledson Rodriguez, I think Cledson would probably win that fight by decision. Osbourne, on the other hand, has a similar type of power that when you kind of give the two things where Zarrukh kind of gets cracked a lot in his fights, and you had the fact that Ode is a very powerful puncher, very tall, very lengthy, and he definitely has the power to go out there and knock out any fighter in this flyweight division. Is a good chance we see him go out there and get a knockout. There's a very good chance that does happen. Ode is going to be way taller. He's going to be way lengthier. I believe has like a 7-inch reach advantage over Zarrukh Adashev, which is going to be absolutely insane. So my prediction is going to be Ode Osbourne to win the fight by a decision. I think he'll crack Zarrukh, but I think Zarrukh will survive enough to not get finished and things like that. But Ode being the taller guy, the lengthier guy, honestly, the guy with the better wrestling and the better grappling, only thing really going for Zarrukh Adashev as of right now is the kicks. The leg kicks and things like that. That's the only real thing going for Zarrukh Adashev is the leg kicks. But it's going to be very hard to get in on those leg kicks because every time he's going to go for those leg kicks, Ode Osbourne is going to use that height, use that reach to land the 1-2, land his jabs, land his shots at range, and maybe even land the takedown as Zarrukh is landing those leg kicks. So there's plenty of outcomes for Ode Osbourne to win. I agree that Ode Osbourne should win. It shouldn't be like 90% going Osbourne to win, but I think he's a pretty likely to win this fight. I mean, there's a possibility Zarrukh wins. It'd have to be by probably leg kick knock or him just literally charging forward, throwing bombs, and catching the chin of Ode Osbourne in the fight. But yeah, it's close. I mean, Ode Osbourne does not have the best chin out there. I mean, he got knocked out by Manel Kape, got submitted by Brian Kelleher. He's been finishing a lot of fights, but Zarrukh, I mean, most of his wins are actually decision wins. So I see the fight going to a decision. I think Zarrukh's going to keep it relatively even on those judges' scorecards. Probably like a 29-28 decision for Ode Osbourne. One round maybe goes Zarrukh. If he pressures enough, lands a big enough amount of big shots on Ode Osbourne. But Ode is going to land the volume. He's going to land the takedowns, use the wrestling, grappling, jabs, 1-2s, all that good stuff. Ode Osbourne by a unanimous decision. Jeff Molina and Zhalgas Zhumagulov in the flyweight division. Zhalgas, Good wrestler, good grappler. That's kind of all you really have for a guy like Zhalgas Zhumagulov. He goes out there, he's trying to pressure the heck out of you, get your back to the cage, take you down, submit you, take you down, TKO you, take you down, grind you out. Everything this man does revolves around the wrestling and grappling. He's just trying to take you down and smash you there. That's kind of been his whole shtick inside the UFC. He's trying to take you down and grind you there. He's got a good submission game. He got a guillotine on Jerome Rivera recently, but he's been knocked out a lot, and if he's not able to lay in the takedowns, he's not going to win the fight. The fight is close. If you look at the betting odds for right now, it is close. I mean, right now, I think the odds are favoring Jeff Molina ever so slightly at minus 155. The reason Molina is not a super big old favorite for this fight is because Jeff Molina has never been tested with a wrestler or grappler of the caliber of Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Zhalgas is a very legit wrestler and grappler. So much better than all of the other wrestlers and grapplers that Jeff Molina has ever fought in his career. So I do believe that Zhalgas Zhumagulov could go out there, grind out a decision, could go out there, submit Jeff Molina in the first or second round. It's very possible, but I think Molina knows exactly what he's getting himself into right here, and I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns. I don't think he's going to knock out Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I think if Zhalgas gets hurt in this fight enough, he'll be able to at least go out there and clinch up with Jeff Molina so he does not get finished in the fight, but it's an interesting one. I think Zhalgas has a very live chance of going out there and winning in the wrestling and in the grappling, but I think Jeff Molina, he knows exactly what he's in for. He's going to be training specifically for the wrestling, specifically for the grappling and things like that, and I do think he's going to go out there and win this fight by a decision. Poliana, Botelho, and Karine Silva in the flyweight division. Karine on a crazy win streak. Every win coming by finish. I'm not joking. Every win that she has in her whole entire career, all 14 are KO TKO wins. All 4 losses, I believe, are also KO TKOs, except for one, Diana Barbosa, and then we're not sure about Elaine Albuquerque. But that was it. Only one fight going all the way, and she lost. Very tough fight right here, because Poliana Botelho is not a girl that gets finished often. She gets finished, like, for sure. She got finished against Cynthia Calvillo by a rear naked choke submission, but every other loss has been a decision loss. She's very good at just surviving on the ground and just getting ridden out to a decision. She's got a lot of finishes on her record. Really good body kicks. I mean, 2 knockout wins due to the body kick against Sierra Kondo in the UFC, as well as Karina Rodriguez, the Invicta FC champion. So in this fight, the striking clearly is going to go Poliana Botelho, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Karine Silva needs one little moment to get the fight to the mat and start ground and pounding. Look for the submission, look for the ground and pound, and look for that finish on the ground. She's very legit on the ground. She just beat a 20-3 Q Yan prospect right there by guillotine. I mean, there's no safe part of the fight on the ground for Poliana Botelho. On top, she's got devastating ground and pound. On bottom, she's got triangles, she's got guillotines, she can reverse you. She's just very strong on the ground, so she can definitely go out there and get the win. It's very close. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's... Okay, that doesn't make sense by any means. Should not be this spread out. 81% and then 19% should be a lot closer, because Poliana Botelho, if she's able to defend the takedowns, or if Karine Silva kind of gasses herself looking for the finish early on in the fight, Poliana is live in those later rounds to outstrike Karine Silva and win the fight by decision. She's a much better striker. She's lengthier. She's taller. I mean, not necessarily lengthier, but she is taller right there. So, not a lock by any means. Karine, I do have her winning this fight, but it is such a close fight, because Poliana, all she needs to do is have the first round go to Karine Silva, let Karine just keep on going for finish after finish after finish, survive, and then have the gassed out Karine Silva in the later rounds, and then find a way to outstrike her in those rounds. So it's very close, could go either way. I know a lot of you guys are going to say Karine Silva submission, Karine Silva TKO. I'm going to go Karine Silva decision. I think when fighters outside of the UFC finally get their UFC debut, finally get that step up in competition, they tend to get decision wins. They tend to have that rough fight. They're getting a lot of experience in it. They're learning from that fight, and I do think this is going to be that learning experience for Karine Silva. She's going to learn to go through adversity in the later rounds, to go through how tired she is in those later rounds, and I think she wins the round 1 and round 2 and makes it a very, very big dogfight in the third and final round. Win the fight by a 29-28 decision. Karine Silva by a decision. Dan Ige and Mozharov in the featherweight division. Now, I've done a prediction for this one in the past, and I did go Mozharov to win the fight by a very, very dominant decision. Has my prediction changed since I made that prediction? No. No, it has not. Mozharov is going to win this fight very dominantly on the ground. Calvin Kattar was able to go out there and take down Dan Ige. Chan Sung Jung was able to go out there, take down Dan Ige 3 times and control him for a full 10 minutes in that fight. I mean, it was absolutely insane how many different times he was able to go out there and take down Dan Ige in that fight. If Mozharov is able to go out there, take down Hakeem Dawodu, Niklas, Mike Grundy, Enrique Barzola, Sung Woo Choi, all of these guys in the UFC, and we got a guy like Dan Ige showing that he's getting taken down by much, much worse caliber wrestlers than Mozharov. It clearly leads me to believe that Mozharov is going to go out there and have the ability to land the takedowns. I think there's a possibility Dan Ige could go out there and maybe knock out Mozharov. He's got power. He knocked out Gavin Tucker in that one fight, but aside from that one knockout, he does not have that finishing ability. I mean, other than that, when was the last time he got a finish? A TKO win due to ground and pound, a submission win, and a lot of other ground and pound TKO wins. How is he going to get that if he's on bottom? He's not going to submit Mozharov. He's not going to ground and pound him from bottom and get a finish or anything like that. The only way he wins is the same scenario in the Gavin Tucker fight. Land that right cross and knock out Mozharov, or land some flying knee or something like that. That is the only way I can really see Mozharov realistically losing this fight. Other than that, Mozharov is going to win this fight. Mozharov is the better wrestler. He's the better grappler. Striking wise, yeah, we'll go Dan Ige to win there, but he's been taken down by so far worse opponents in terms of wrestling, and we saw Korean Zombie be able to just grind out that decision. Mozharov is a much better wrestler and a much better grinder in terms of the wrestling and grappling. So I do see the fight going all the way. I don't think that Dan Ige is going to get finished. He didn't get finished against Calvin, Chan Sung Jung, or Josh Emmett. And Mozharov, what? Decision win. Come on, you get the point. Mozharov by a unanimous decision. Alexander Volkov and Jairzinho Rozenstruik in the UFC heavyweight division, 33.5 years old and 34 years old. Of course, there's going to be the height advantage. There's going to be the reach advantage as usual going towards Alexander Volkov. He's going to be 5 inches taller than Biggie Boy Rozenstruik, and then Alexander Volkov is going to be 2 inches longer than Rozenstruik as well. I agree with the Tapology predictions. Either Rozenstruik knockout or Volkov decision. Those are pretty much the two main outcomes for the fight. Jairzinho, if you look at his career, he did lose decisions to Cyril Gahn, lost a decision to Curtis Blades, but he knocked out everyone else. Knocked out Augusto Sakai, knocked out Junior Dos Santos, knocked out Alistair Overeem, although it was with 4 seconds left in that fight, and he's knocked out every single other guy except for one. Only one fight going to a decision. That was Andrei Kovalev right there, a 9-1 Ukrainian fighter over there that has not fought since 2018. This guy should probably be in the UFC. That's the only guy he has not been able to go out there and finish. If he's going to get a win here, especially against Alexander Volkov, it is going to be a knockout. And I know Volkov has not been knocked out in a while, but he's been knocked out before. I mean, Derek Lewis knocked him out in the third round. Vitaly Minakov knocked him out in the first round. And I think that might be it for the knockout losses. So it's not a guaranteed thing that Jairzinho, if he's going to win, it's going to be by knockout. Because the only guys recently knocking him out are very powerful guys. Derek Lewis, the only guy in the last 5-6 years to knock him out. So yeah, I don't think Jairzinho is going to knock him out. I think that Jairzinho has a very tough task ahead of him, fighting a very, very tall, very lengthy guy. And the last time with Curtis Blades, it was another tall, very lengthy guy in the heavyweight division, but it wasn't really a striking match. Curtis Blaydes just took him down and grinded to a decision in that fight. He wasn't really able to show how good he really fared against a taller, lengthier opponent. This one is really going to prove how good Jairzinho is against that taller, lengthier guy, and I don't think it's going to do. I don't think it's going to be very good. The only chance I see Jairzinho wins is going to be later on, 4th or 5th round. Volkov just trying to make a few more shots land towards the end of the fight, and Biggie Boy just bum rushes him and lands a big shot. Kind of how Francis Ngannou bum rushed Jairzinho Rozenstruik and knocked him out. That is like the only way I can see Jairzinho Rozenstruik winning this fight. It's just he's not gonna knock out a guy like Alexander Volkov, who has only been knocked out by Derek Lewis in the last 7 to 8 years. He's decision marching Tybura, knocked out Alistair Overeem, knocked out Walt Harris, and he's only lost a decision to Ciryl Gane and a submission to Tom Aspinall. He's gonna go out there, keep the fight at range, use that height, use that reach, stay away from the big punches of Jairzinho, stay away from the kicks of Jairzinho, and just tip tap Jairzinho at range. Yeah, there's gonna be a round or two that Jairzinho could win just sheerly off of the fact that he's going to be landing the more powerful punches, but overall, Volkov's volume is going to be so much more than Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and he's going to grind out to a decision. There's not going to be any takedowns in the fight. Volkov's not going to take down Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik's not going to take out Volkov. It should not be too exciting of a fight. It should kind of be like the Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov fight, where they're kind of just fighting at range, going in and out, in and out, in and out for 5 straight rounds. What I see happening here, Jairzinho is a very tentative fighter. He doesn't really go out there and push the pace up on his opponent. He's not really going out there looking to pressure you and throw those big shots. Volkov is not going to get knocked out here. That's the only way Jairzinho wins, is if he goes out there and pressures Volkov. That's not the type of fighter he is. He's more of a kind of stay back a little bit. Maybe if you are the one on the back foot for some reason, then you'll start to come forward and look to start throwing. But Volkov, even if he is on the back foot, which I assume he will be, his movement is good enough to stay away from the power shots of Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and even if Jairzinho is able to close that height, close that reach, the fight gets to the clinch. And if it's in the clinch, Volkov is a lot better in the clinch, in my opinion, with the knees, with the elbows, and even with the punches of the body in the clinch as well. So clinch advantage goes Alexander Volkov. Striking advantage in terms of volume goes Alexander Volkov. Wrestling doesn't really go either guy. Grappling doesn't really go either guy. Power goes Jairzinho. So only way I really see Jairzinho winning is to land some really, really big shots, which I don't think he's going to land in this fight. He's not going to knock out Volkov. I mean, it took Derek Lewis till the last 4 or 5 seconds to knock out Volkov. Yeah, Jairzinho did the same against Alistair Overeem. But still, then the fight goes all the way. Alexander Volkov grinding out a decision, staying at range, tip-tapping Jairzinho Rozenstruik at range, staying away from the big shots, staying away from the kicks of Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and winning 4 out of the 5 rounds to a 49-46 unanimous decision. Alright guys, so that is my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Volkov versus Rozenstruik. I got Alexander Volkov, Movsar Evloev, Karine Silva, Jeff Molina, Ode Osbourne, Rinat Fakhretinov, Erin Blanchfield, Mike Trizano, Benoit St. Denis, Joe Solecki, Alonzo Menifield, and Tony Gravely. Those are all finishes, all favorites in all of those fights, but there are very, very close fights. Mike Trizano, Lucas Almeida can definitely be a close fight. Jeff Molina, Zhalgas Zhumagulov could go either way. Poliana, Botelho, Karine Silva could go either way. Those are all very, very 50-50 type of fights. I know there's going to be a few underdogs that win on the card. And I mean, Askar Mozharov is definitely one of them. Alex Silva, if he can keep the fight on the feet, he can definitely be one of those underdogs. Niklas Stolze, if he can keep the fight on the feet, he can be one of those underdogs. It really depends. I mean, after the first round, we'll kind of know who's going to win all of these fights. After the first round with Solecki, Alex Silva, we'll know who's going to win. After the first round with Benoit and Niklas Stolze, we'll know who's going to win. Mike Trizano, I mean, all of these fights after that first round, we already know. We already kind of know, because even in Jeff Molina, Zhalgas Zhumagulov, if Zhalgas is able to land that takedown early on, he's going to win the fight, guys. He's going to win that fight. It all depends on the first round for literally most of these fights. Karine fight for Jeff Molina, Ode Osbourne, if they can defend the takedowns, most of these guys, the underdog can definitely win this fight. It's a good fight card. I expect a good amount of fights that are going to be like bangers type of fights. Like Jeff Molina, Zhalgas is going to be really good. Trizano, Lucas can be good if Lucas is pressuring in that fight. Rinat, Andreas is going to be good. Ode, Zarrukh is going to be a banger of a fight in my opinion. Menifield, Mozharov is going to be a banger for as long as it lasts. Solecki, Alex could be good, but you know, it most likely going to be the wrestling of Joe Solecki there. So it's going to be a good fight card. I cannot wait. UFC Fight Night, Volkov versus Rozenstruik. Those are the full card predictions. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.